A new monetary order is just around the corner. I'm going to talk about what it looks like. What? You didn't know that it's coming? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, whenever you are. Thank you for watching this video. My name is DaVinci Jeremy. I'm in the pipe 5x5, right? Those of you who, if you want to meet me and say hi, remember, my name is DaVinci. Jeremy's my last. DaVinci's my first name. So if you ever meet me, say DaVinci, then I know that you're actually watching. Okay, with that said, man, we're going to be talking about the new monetary order. What does that mean? New monetary order? I don't get it, DaVinci. What are you saying? We've never had a new monetary order. Yeah, we did. We just, in 1971, they took us off the gold standard, right? Before that, right, in 1929, 1934, I think it was, they repriced gold. That's a monetary order change. And so we're going to talk about what the new monetary order change would look like. If they try to go back on gold, right, which they might try to do, right, obviously they can't continue printing money, right, if they go back on gold. However, there's a problem there. They've made promises they can't keep based on the price of gold, based on if we were to go back as gold backing our money, meaning that, like, what do I mean by gold backing? Because most people are like, what? What does that mean? Okay. Means that gold is a fixed price of the US dollar. So, for example, if they were to say gold is now $10,000 an ounce forever from now on, we're going to promise you to make sure that every dollar is backed up with 10,000 with 1 ounce of gold. If you use 10,000 of them, if $10,000 is backed up with 1 ounce of gold. They said that. That would be good. Of course, that would be good for most people. However, the problem is insurance companies. The problem is your retirement plan from the government. The problem is MSTY and many other derivatives products all rely on the fact that the government's going to print more money. In fact, we could talk about even corporations that intertwine themselves with derivatives products to ensure that, hey, if I go down, y'all go down too. Right? So how do you do this? How do you unwind all these complex systems that are now tied together and say, okay, well, now we're going on a fixed monetary system and we can't go on an expansionary monetary system? Interesting. You can't, right? Because you don't even know half the things that could go wrong in the change to that system, because they don't even know what derivatives exist where, who has what, and how it all ties together. And because of that, they could end up collapsing all banks and all systems all together. They can't get, and retirees will get pissed off that they're not getting their dollars. So the only way I see this happening, the only way, right? And same with, with insurance companies and stuff like that, they have to be able to pay out these dollars, right? For life insurance and all that kind of stuff, right? For your whole life and for your retirement that they promised, right? Whoever promised you a bunch of dollars for retirement. The only way that this is possible is if they have new money, a two-tier system where you have a system of this type of money where it's fixed, gold-backed money, and a US dollar system, and they have two. I don't see any way around that because, well, if they try to do anything else, they have a problem, right? So with two-tier system, they can actually, pay everybody in dollars, right? And if they want, they can go to the hard money system, which already exists with Bitcoin, right? It's already existing in parallel. The issue will be then, okay, you can't have a company, right, that is doing both. Okay, well, unless like if that company exists, it has to be in the new money standard completely, and it can't accept the old money or can't make promises in that old money. But it can accept that money, the old money, but it can't make promises to pay that old money. No promises to pay that old money could exist in your corporation, right? Whilst other people, individuals, they can do whatever they want, of course, but corporations would have to have a rule where they cannot create contracts at all, right? Or if they do, that's fine. They just are on the old system. They're now relegated to the old system. If they are on immediately, so they can use both, but they're still key to the old system. And whilst if you do only one system, well, you have to follow a certain set of rules which don't apply to the old system, right? That's it. That's the only way. So, for example, you couldn't promise crazy returns or crazy amounts of money in the future in the new system, right? You can't say, well, we'll get you. Well, you could, but then that would be a lie. You'll get 1 million ounces of gold when you retire. Not a chance, right? So those kind of promises, and if they do those promises under the new system, they have to be able to go bankrupt, right? To make those promises, they have to fail. Whilst in the old system, they get bailed out. That's how it would work. People will get bailed out in the old system. People who use the new system, if they have a corporation in that new system, that corporation does not get bailed out if it fails, period. There is no derivatives interconnection. If they do, then that whole company exists in the old system, and then they can follow those old system rules. If they want to go into the new system, they have to follow the new system rules. And if they choose to break those new system rules, they immediately become part of the old system, right? And that's it. And they have to notify the shareholders and private equity people. Everyone has to be notified if they break any of the new rules that have to be laid out, of course, for the new system of money. That is my guess. I could be completely wrong, right? I'm just guessing here. I'm taking a shot in the dark, and this is what I see coming down the pipe. And the reason is because the money is going to have to be printed forever. And too many people were promised too many things, and they can't be met. With only way those promises can be met is with printing press money, and this is why we own Bitcoin. This is why we buy Bitcoin, right? You will not get the value. You'll get your money, your retirement money, most likely. You're gonna get your retirement money, most likely. However, you cannot be guaranteed what you'll be able to buy with those, with that money. Period. Right? And this is why they promise you crazy numbers, like, for example, oh yeah, we're going to give you $2 million, $5 million, whatever numbers you want, when you retire in 30 years. Well, let's just take a $2 million, because most of y'all think that $2 million is like a lot of money, right? And let's just say you've got 30 years, 35 years before your retirement. Let's just say 35, right? And you're thinking, yeah, man, $2 million is a lot of money. I can live off that. Yeah, today. But most of y'all don't know what the rule of 72 is. What is the rule of 72? Well, if you want to know how much your money will double, how long it will take your money to double, you would take the percentage, if it was compounded every day, or not every day, but every month, right? You'd take the percentage of interest earned, right? Let's just say it's 2%, promised to you over that 35 years, 2% a year. Well, you take that 2 and you divide it by 72, and it comes out to be 36 years before you get your money doubles. So if you start off with $1 million, compounded at 2%, you would get $2 million in 36 years. Well, the same applies in reverse. Meaning, if you were promised $2 million, it's not going to be $2 million, right? If you follow the inflation rate that they promise to maintain, which is they're saying 2%, which is BS, as you know, right? But let's pretend it is. Well, in 2%, with 2%, you get your $2 million will be worth $1 million worth in value. You still be $2 million, but what you can buy is only $1 million worth, right? And you're like, yeah, I can live with that. All right. But you all know inflation is not 2%, right? Inflation happens to be at closer to 10%. You know that if you were to look at a Big Mac meal or a quarter pounder meal, right, back in the 20s, in 2000, sorry, in the year 2000, it's like less than $3, right? Today, it's more than $12. That sounds like 10% a year. Yes, it is. Okay? It's actually way more than 10% because what happens is we innovate. And so the actual product that they're giving you is actually costing them less, even though it's charging you more. You're like, what? I don't get that. Put it this way, because materials continue to increase in price because of the inflation, but they do try to make it cheaper every single time as much as they possibly can so they can keep you buying. That's the innovation that goes into the food to help reduce the price as much as possible. So effectively, if they did not innovate, the price of a Big Mac meal would be worth more, probably even $20. It is what it is, right? Assuming they didn't change anything, but they did. You know that the Big Mac has shrunk, right? You know they've done all kinds of different things in order to reduce costs. Okay, I digress. So with that said, you know that it's 10%. So how much money will you have if they promise you $2 million in 35 years? Well, in 7.2 years, because you divide 10 into 72, which is the rule of 72, you'd have $1 million worth of purchasing power. Then in 14 years, it's $500,000. Then in 21 years, it's 250,000, right? In 28 years, it's 125,000. Whoops. And finally, when you retire with 35 years, it's a whole whopping $65,000. That's it. 62,500. Damn. They robbed you blind. And you didn't even notice. In fact, right, when they promise you these big numbers, they're going to be making so much money from you, doing your investments, your monthly investments and stuff like that. Every month, they're sucking out the wealth from you as you save this, as you try to invest. This is the scam of our current monetary system. You don't make any money. Everybody else does when you just save in our current monetary system. So, what's the solution? Simple. Bitcoin. You save Bitcoin for the long term. Period. You don't do that, well, this t-shirt has something to say. When you go broke and you wonder why things are not working out. Okay, I'm going to just go over weex.davincij15.com. You can see that I'm doing a nice trade here. It's the best place to trade, especially if you live in the land of the free or not so free, and home of the brave or not so brave, since they don't even know what a woman is. and their women believe that bears are better than men, right? You can trade here. Also, Bybit.davincij15.com. Of course, Americans are not allowed, but You know, if you ever live anywhere else, hook yourself up. It's the best trading platform out there. With that said, moving on to our trades. As you can see, I showed you guys this trade. Hey, this was the most likely entry point. Yeah, it looks like we ever went down even further, but if you smart enough and held your position, you did well. Thank you for holding your position. You should have also added to your position, which I did in these lower areas here. It was a clear time to add to your position, and boom, we are back up above that. Now, looking at Solana, again, it was the same thing here. Clear positioning. The positioning is almost like the point of control, which is not the greatest place, but we're not quite. I think the point of control is right about here, but we'd have to take a look at that. I'm not going to look at that right now. And Ethereum, oof, I didn't make any trades because I was not confident with Ethereum breaking out. It should have broke out here when it broke the 2700, but it failed, and there we go. If you're looking to enter the position, you are definitely in the point of control here. So maybe you wait for a position in the lower area here, but you could enter here and then add as things come down. Ethereum will break out here and probably wipe out all the people who are short from 4,000. All right, well, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I know I did, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.